What happens when one of the most wishlisted games on Steam is about to come out and then disappears from Steam entirely? Yeah, pretty weird, and that is the story that's going on with The Day Before. And to be honest, this one is extremely weird. So, the game is developed by Fantastic Games, and odds are, at least by the numbers, you probably have this in your wishlist or, well, had, I suppose, or know about it, because it was one of the most wishlisted games on Steam, I think just behind Hogwarts Legacy. Now, this is all bizarre, because the game is being delisted, the developers have released a statement, and the game has now been delayed by 8 months until November of this year, even though the reason why it's been delisted ostensibly shouldn't really cause a delay of that magnitude. This has now led to a lot of people being very concerned, some people being quite angry, and wondering to what degree the game actually, even exists, and just what the hell's going on. Now, as for why this ended up being one of the most wish-listed games on Steam, it's pretty obvious. Here's a screenshot. Does it look pretty? Yes, it absolutely does, at least from a photoreal perspective, right? This game was first announced on the 29th of January 2021, and it ticks all the boxes for a game that would get a lot of wish lists on Steam, right? We've got an apocalyptic setting, it's an MMO, third-person shooter, sound-based stealth, Tarkov-style looting, base building, open-world driving, PvP, survival elements. It's kind of got all those things that would make a game go big on Steam. But of course, this news story is actually not the beginning of them being controversial. That is with the entire volunteer situation last year. But first, let's help pay the bills with today's sponsor. You know, phishing attacks. That's where scammers try to dupe you into compromising your security by basically trying to trick you into clicking a fake link. Well, NordVPN Threat Protection can recognize those malicious links. It can warn you before anything goes wrong, stopping the threat dead in its tracks, plus so much more. And nordvpn.com/Bellular News is where you'll find a free month plus a bonus gift with my code, so just click that link down below. Now, Nord, obviously, as a VPN, lets you browse the web from anywhere in the world, which lets you do a lot. I regularly use Nord to access region-restricted streaming content. You can also use Nord to access, well, interesting regional pricing, such as the price gouging that a lot of rental car companies do based on your location. They'll also protect you from so many threats, like phishing that we talked about, and man-in-the-middle attacks, which is basically where people make a fake Wi-Fi network, called Coffee Shop Wi-Fi, and they try to pwn you with that. There's also their dark web monitor. You just add your email credentials, and they will alert you whenever your credentials appear in a data breach. And often those are basically sold around the dark web, and then people try to scam you. So much more too, like with NordPass that makes passwords secure, convenient, and dead easy. Of course, all on their app and browser extension that are super easy to use across your devices. And you can get a free month plus a bonus gift at nordvpn.com/Bellular News with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks for helping out, everyone. Okay, so this game has actually been delayed before, right? On the 5th of May 2022, Fantastic revealed to IGN that The Day Before would be delayed, no longer releasing June 21st, 2022, instead releasing March 1st, 2023. And the reason supplied here was, it was interesting. They essentially said that they're moving to Unreal Engine 5, right? In order to take just advantage of all of that engine's great benefits to the open world that they want to deliver. But what is strange is they announced this with just over a month to go until the game's originally planned release date. And I've got to be honest, for a total switch of engine, that is very, very surprising to me. Like, it is truly a little bit mind-boggling. So that in itself was really, really bizarre. Now, they also said they were staffing up, but what was interesting is they weren't really staffing up just with paid staff. No, they were doing it with unpaid volunteers who were being asked to work on QA, anti-cheat, and community management. And when you actually go over to their page, we see here volunteering, where they have a post in Medium. They're talking about it being from the Latin word voluntarius, which means willing or of one's choice. So clearly going in this whole unpaid labor thing because, look, at the end of the day, yeah, the idea of volunteering for something of your own will, yeah, cool, great. But when you're doing that to help someone else make a whole bunch of money where you're not going to be cut in and will be completely uncompensated for your work, that does feel pretty damn bizarre, right? Like, you're a volunteer supporting paid staff, even though you as a volunteer are expected to do real work. It just, yeah, I don't know, seems a bit funky to me the way that they were doing things. After the whole volunteer thing, they went quiet until the end of last year, where they said that the game would feature at a major gaming expo in early 2023. Then we got an interesting devlog from them that wasn't what you would expect, because it wasn't actually about the game. No, it was about their software that they're pitching as Discord for Business. And yeah, here it is. Of course, look at the sidebar, look at the UI, very much does look like that kind of thing. Now, funny enough, the idea of having remote or like communication apps, that's actually quite tied into the games industry. You may not know this, but Stuart Butterfield, who is the founder of Slack, well, that actually came out of a failed video game project. Yeah, they failed to make a video game, but they made a pretty damn cool internal IRC client, which then turned into Slack, which, interesting. I suppose that's a fun little thing. But again, this is, I would assume, some form of internal tool that they developed, which is confusing because there are so many off-the-shelf tools that they could have used. Anyway, a little bit bizarre. One maybe would think that's a strange distraction, releasing that when really you've got this pressing game project. But anyway, this also allowed for NVIDIA to sort of talk up the DLSS3, the ray tracing, and this was all to lead up to early January's reveal of raw gameplay, where people would finally actually get to see what the hell this game even is. And also, pre-orders, they actually had not been open at this point, which I would say is certainly a good thing, given where the story is going to go, because, well, it's weird. So on the 24th of January, right, the moderators on the subreddit, they were trying to downplay people's concerns because the Steam page had apparently started to experience some issues where it had disappeared, right? It's had people very confused. And yeah, the whole Steam page vanished. Mad, right? For what is a game that, like, is right at the top of Steam royalty. And that's when we get this statement from Twitter. Right before the release, Steam blocked our game page at the request of a private individual because of the name the day before. As you know, our game was announced January 2021. At the time of the announcement, that trademark was available. But after the announcement of the game, the above individual filed an application before us to register the game trademark in the United States. And as for what's next, they said previously they were not aware of the existence of this claim. They found out only January 19th, where they got a complaint from the person who had filed the trademark and a request to contact him. They then say that they previously did plan to post a lengthy gameplay trailer, right, in this month, but that they're going to have to actually sort this problem out before they deal with that, and they say they'll post the video ASAP. And then they say that as a result of this, they've actually had to postpone the launch of the game until November 10th, 2023. Now, that is bizarre. Why would they have to do that? I mean, sure, trademark change. You could always, as much as it would suck, you could always rename the game, right? You could rename the game and probably still have your launch. There are ways around this. So that the delay is that long has absolutely got people wondering at really what state the game was in anyway. But the bizarre thing is, no, they truly did have this copyright, this trademark issue. So it's not like they're just using the trademark thing as a cover. Like, it is definitely an issue. And that's what's really bizarre and actually puzzling through this case. So this then leads to the posting of the trademark application, where it turned out that this guy, Sunjae Lee of South Korea, filed for a trademark for the day before, June 2021, when the game itself, of course, had been announced in January 2021. Now, this individual only has one trademark to their name, the day before, but when you take a look at patents, well, this person has actually been filing patents for various different inventions relating to a whole bunch of fields across tech, with many of these being granted and a number of them being filed under the purview of work done for Samsung. So, from what we've worked out then, it's almost certainly a real person who has been able to interface with the US Patent and Trademark Office and knows how to navigate this sort of thing. And somehow they've managed to swoop in and grab this day before name, and they got through the trademark process, right? Now, as a part of this, they spent a year and a half going through filing their application, having the initial application be refused. They then went back with additional fixes. They then had their trademark published in order to address any opposition. They went through all of this and finally had the trademark granted. Now, in theory, if there had been a monitored application for a trademark or a live trademark in the same business area, then there should have been opportunities to have that be challenged. But again, the big if is if it was monitored. And this is where we get back to Fantastic. They are not good at trademarks. It's bizarre, right? So they've never trademarked any of their products in the United States. So when we actually look into this then, they applied for a trademark for Prop Night on the 27th of January 2022. Now that game actually released on the 1st of December 2021. And seemingly, while they did make the application, it hasn't been progressed. Now, they have actually filed for trademarks with Prop Night the day before and Fantastic all on that same day of the 21st of January 2022, but the thing is, they haven't actually progressed the applications to the stage of filing for the trademark. They've basically stalled them all out at the processing stage. Each one is marked as live/pending, and the last updates are on the 16th of November 2022 with the US Patent and Trademark Office asking for more information. So seemingly, the US department asked them for info, they never got back to that US department, which has left them completely vulnerable to this whole situation, which they've then seemingly used. I would almost, and this is totally conjecture, but I would say they've used this as an opportunity to delay the game. Maybe it's one of those cases where it may have actually been a shit show had it came out in March, and perhaps they're trying to save face by using this situation to maybe get a delay that they actually wanted, perhaps. But anyway, the point basically is they've been marketing a game they didn't actually have the trademark for because they didn't finish their application and they didn't resolve the issue with this South Korean individual who actually does have the trademark. And this now means to them, and their final point, that videos of gameplay will not be coming soon. They said they want to talk to their lawyers, find out what the trademark conflict means, and then make their plans. So this is weird. The audience, I think, are not particularly trusting. Like, this game has been fairly vague, right? So that's in itself a bit weird. And right when things were supposed to become concrete, we then have this situation happen, the gameplay footage not be shown or any of that, with another delay. And I think to a lot of people, the idea that you just have a filing with a trademark filing, that's going to lead to an 8-month delay, to a lot of people, I think that does feel rather bizarre. I really have to imagine that there would be ways out of that. I mean, if you're running an entire studio for like 8 more months or whatever, that's really brutal. Now, here's what's weird. And Skill Up, I think, has signal boosted this to a lot of people, where they said, those who wonder if the game is real, I'm wondering the same right now. So they haven't actually shown footage of the game to the Discord mods, which I think a lot of people are really seeing as some kind of smoke and gun. I would say that often in a case like this, the Discord mod is not actually a member of the development team. They're probably not a paid staff member or anything like that. Okay? So, odd. And of course, when you look at the Steam forums, yeah, I mean, it's nothing good, right? And then this has just got people thinking, does this game exist? Where is the gameplay? I would say, and this again is complete conjecture, a lot of these survival, a lot of these photoreal looking survival games, a lot of them do crop up. I just think that this is one really rooted around more modern technologies where it can have that very instant wow factor. Maybe not the hardest game certainly a hard game to develop, but maybe not the hardest thing in the world to develop. Like, again, that obviously depends on what off-the-shelf solutions they're using, but I just look at this and I'm confused about this 8-month delay. I think if they just had have shown that gameplay footage, though, people would not have been confused, right? They would have actually seen, oh, this is concrete, the game's really here. So I think the thing that's really done them in is the pulling of the gameplay stuff. I mean, I could totally understand if their gameplay footage, does have that trademark on it, then that really could be an issue. But I mean, could you not just give it an internal project name and say, here is footage of project name, just to get it out there, to actually instill confidence? And I think that something like that hasn't been done is a pretty damn major factor in people just not trusting this whatsoever. And again, for this to happen to one of the most high-profile games right now is crazy. And that might seem bizarre if you think about the coverage of this game. It's that thing. There are games that just don't really make it big in YouTube or big in the press, but they just zoom around the Steam algorithm like crazy because it's the type of game fantasy that so many people have wanted for such a long time, right? You want what your imagination would have thought DayZ fully would be, right? So look, I don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows at this stage. I think what I do know, though, is that this is some really sloppy stuff from that developer, a developer that has already had a bit of controversy, a developer that, with that whole volunteer thing, people are pretty suspicious of. Then they're pulling the proof of the game, like, properly existing, and, oh man, I don't know. It's a weird situation. This is really not one that I saw coming. I'd love to know what you think. If you've got any sort of insider scoop. We did as much digging around as we could feasibly do with this story breaking. So look, I'll give you an update if way more happens, but that's where we're at for now. One of the potential biggest releases of this year on Steam had its page disappear, and it's now been delayed for 8 months. Make of it what you will. Certainly, if I was in the shoes of these developers, I would be working out how to get gameplay footage to people absolutely ASAP. Because this is a crisis. All right. Take care, everybody. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time.